Hey, good morning, everybody. Nikki here. Today's Taste Life Nutrition Radio and podcast streaming live on KUHSdenver.com, where we always have amazing fun and super amazing guests. I'm so excited about today's guest because Kellie, you've got this amazing spirit, music. Well, and I even forgot to do my own music. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna jump in and do my own music, and then I'll turn it down because I always forget.
Keep music real low as you talk.
Okay. So now we have music because this is my favorite song. If you don't know, everybody knows Bob Marley and Three Little Birds, but this is the song that I could just listen to over and over again because it just makes me happy because everything is going to be all right in the end, right? It's just like, it's all good. And so we were just talking about, we start the show. I am just all over the place today. I was talking to Kellie about how we start the show with gratitude. And so, but before, Kellie is a coach, an authenticity coach, and has this amazing story about what brought her to this place. So I'm going to let her tell the story. But first and foremost, now that I'm slowing down a little bit, we always start the show with gratitude, which is why I love this song, because everything's going to be all right, and because gratitude can change the world. I fully believe that. I think it's super important to know in your heart that there's so much out there. You know, looking outside, we've got the blue sky. Today's going to be warm. You know, all of these amazing things that are, you know, even if it's the smallest thing, it helps us to open up to the beauty and the goodness that is in this life. So, Kellie, what are you grateful for?
Okay, I'm gonna say two things that came to the top of my head.
Yeah.
First is something that I say every morning. It's just thank you for just waking up today. Like, thank you for just having breath, being alive, having another day, because so many people don't get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the other one would be, I'm grateful for having a voice, because for so long I did not use my voice. And now I am using it to help other people and support other people. So I am definitely grateful for my voice and being able to have the confidence to use it.
Awesome. Yeah, the first time we met, I was like, okay, I need to know you better. I need to know you more. I think we really connected. And so I was telling Kellie when she first jumped on with me, you know, I was looking through her website this morning as I was going through some of her stuff. And so she has all these really cool t-shirts for sale, right? But this is what jumped out at me was the keep God first. And I was just so, I'm going to just say right now that I'm grateful that you wore that shirt. I think it's perfection. It is utter perfection. You know, we talk a lot, we talk some about faith and spirituality on the show. And anytime I can bring somebody on who is a Christian and who is like, it's God, right? Keep God first. I think that it's so important, and putting it out into the world and letting people see it. So I'm grateful that you did that. And so go to her website and buy the shirt. Super cool stuff.
Definitely do that.
Yeah.
But you know what? This shirt was actually inspired by my grandmother. So my grandmother's passed away now, but whenever we would like part each other, any of the grandkids, she would always say, remember to keep God first. So when I was thinking about ideas for t-shirts, that was one that just popped up and stood out in my head. I was like, I think I should just put that out there, because people will see the shirt and read it and just, you know, just change their mindset or just have a better day just by looking at a shirt. You don't have to say any words, just encouragement just by reading. So that's the idea behind the shirt.
So good. I love it. All right, let's do this. Let's jump into you. Let's talk a little bit about your history. Let's talk about where you came from, because that's one of my favorite things about doing this show is talking to people about what is it that brought them to where they are today. You know, I bring on people who are here to truly to love and to serve and to give, and to be in that place. We all have to have a story, and so often it can be a difficult story. And so tell us your story.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you the short version
Okay.
of the story. Well, basically what happened was in my late 20s, early 30s, I started losing my hair. And it started off as just a little small bald spot, and it was like just maybe the size of a quarter, and it was at the crown of my head. And then I was like, okay, well, let me pay attention to it. Let me maybe use some different oils or different products, maybe not pull it too much, just do natural things that would prevent my hair from breaking, because I thought it was something I was doing to cause the hair loss. So over time, I tried to look at or try these different remedies or home remedies or holistic remedies, but nothing was really working. So I went a long time trying to figure it out because I was really in denial. I had a lot of emotions tied to my hair. My hair was my identity, just like many people, especially women. So it was challenging for me to see that my hair was steady coming out, especially at a young age like that. Well, eventually I went to a dermatologist, and he told me that I have scarring alopecia. In particular, the type of alopecia I have, the acronym is CCCA. So if you guys don't know, alopecia, the word is just really hair loss. But with that, you have all different types of alopecia. So there are many, many different forms. So the type I have comes from styling practices and products that you use on your hair that causes your hair to fall out. And it basically causes the follicle to die. And what happens once the follicle dies, your scalp develops pretty much like a scar. It's not a scab, but it kind of scars over. Just think of scar tissue. That's the best way to explain it. So therefore, your hair cannot grow anymore in those areas where there is scarring. So I went through a long period of time where I was in denial. I experienced frustration. I experienced social withdrawal because I was always worried about what I looked like. What does my hair look like? And even when I wore wigs, what does this wig look like? Do people know I'm wearing a wig? And it was just always this constant thing of, what do I look like? And over time, I just got tired of even dealing with it and thinking about it. Now, when I say over time, we're going to say probably over at least 15 years that I was kind of hiding and masking and trying these different things until I finally said, you know what? I'm done. I'm ready to shift my mindset and be comfortable with who I am and what I look like in this body. Yes, I have alopecia, but how do I embrace it? How do I move forward in life and be confident? So that's when I made the decision to go ahead and cut my hair off. And now this was the second time I cut my hair off. The first time I wasn't ready and I thought I looked ugly. I thought I looked like a man and I just was not prepared. So I ended up just letting the hair I had grow back and I just wore wigs. But the second time I said, okay, it's time for me to just step into who I am. And that's when I cut it off and I decided to get micropigmentation. So you can see like a hairline and it's a little dark, up in my scalp, or you can see it a little bit like it looks like I have a low cut. Well, that's micropigmentation. And that was the way that, the method I should say, I used to make me comfortable. Now, some women decide to continue to wear wigs forever. Some women do maybe some hair transplants, or they may cover up with hair wraps. It's up to the individual to decide what makes them feel good. This made me feel good and I embraced the look and I have been good ever since. Like once I had to make that decision, my confidence skyrocketed. I did prepare myself before making the decision, which helped me out. But yes, things totally shifted and changed once I embraced my hair loss, and this is who I am. This is how I present myself to everyone. So that is what has led me to become a women's hair loss support and authenticity coach.
I love that. And I got to tell you, and I'm sure everybody can see this too, your smile just takes the whole screen.
Thank you.
It's so true. So I'm super curious though, it breaks my heart that there are products on the market that have the potential of creating scarring. How does this even happen? Well, I say this. I'm coming from a place where, as of course you would know, we have toxins in our food and toxins in our environment. We have all of these toxic things, and the stuff is on the shelves, right?
Right.
And
right.
but there's so much that we don't know, and it is sad that we have to go through a situation, whether it's hair loss or any other kind of situation or condition or whatever, due to a toxic load, due to terrible products that are being sold out on the market when we don't know it. I guess how did you handle that you had been unknowingly using these things that are so toxic? And then my thought then goes to, what else did it do? If it's sitting on the top of your head, you've got your brain sitting there and you've got all of these other organs, right? What else could it do that is creating such a problem?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, as far as how I handled it, I really didn't. I think I took the approach of, we didn't know. You know, like, so the hairstylist and, you know, beauticians and myself, my mom, like, we didn't know that these products would cause damage. And really what it was that I believe was the relaxers, because you know, African American women, we used to straighten our hair, and that's what we had to kind of do in order to fit into society. Like, that was just the norm. Now it's okay to wear our hair natural, and we've embraced it, and you see more natural hair textures. But when I was growing up in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, like, that was the thing to do. You had to straighten your hair. But those chemicals caused damage. Now, it didn't cause damage to everyone, but there are a lot of women out there who have hair loss due to products that we could not use on our hair, because it's not just the relaxers, it's also shampoos. We found out that certain shampoos we can't use. So shampoos with sulfate we cannot use in our hair, because that causes, you know, hair damage. And I don't think that's just for African American women. I think that's in general now. But again, in the 80s and 90s, we didn't know that. This stuff came out way later, and now the damage is done. Now, to your point, what other damage could be done, you know, due to these chemicals? Well, there has been lawsuits out there because relaxers have been linked to cancer.
Oh my goodness.
That they have had, you know, there's lawsuits out there. There's still more and more information coming out. There's information coming out about braiding hair. So, you know, we get our hair, or we still do get our hair braided and add the extension hair into it. Well, that hair seems to be linked to some type of toxic chemicals, and that's now coming out. But we've been using this hair to braid our hair for so long, you know? So I just think that either the companies that were selling these products just did not maybe research the damage it would cause, or they could have, and of course it might not have been told to us. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. So I couldn't really like finger point anybody. It was something for me. I feel like it happened. I know better now. It's too late, but I know better. But my education or my knowledge now can help other people. So that's all I can do is just, like I said earlier, use my voice to say, okay, this is what happened to me. So these are some things you need to look out for. And if you are already experiencing hair loss, then this is how you're going to have to kind of get through it emotionally. Because I don't really deal with telling people how to regrow their hair and different solutions like that. I strictly deal with the emotional and mental side of it. But I do help give tips, and, you know, I'm part of a support group. I'm a leader of a support group for Scarring Alopecia Foundation.
That was my next question for you, Yeah.
So I do, you know, provide the information I have, but, you know, it's kind of one, like I said, one of those things where it is what it is. I can't go back and change time, but I could just move forward and help other people.
So I know it's a process to go through moving from not being okay with not having your hair to being okay with having your hair.
Right.
But the day that you decided the second time to just take the hair off, right, and then go at it, how did that feel?
Whew, okay. It was a journey. It was a process.
Yeah.
I will say I took the time to sit down and get comfortable and with a short haircut, or, you know, I kind of gradually did it. So, for example, the first thing I did was I actually did cut my hair down low, and I used hair fibers to cover up the thin and balding spots. So I would just wear a little short cut, like a little boy cut. And I wore that for a while just to see how I felt, to get more comfortable, because, you know, when you have a short haircut, people are going to look. But when you shave your hair bald, they're really going to look because they're wondering what's going on, right? Or why did you cut your hair off? So I had to get comfortable with the attention. So I would do different things like go out by myself, you know, get used to the attention I was getting, and just really look at myself in the mirror and just observe my features. Because another thing we don't realize is when you cut your hair low or short or off, all of these features in your face start popping out. Things you never noticed about
your
yourself.
big
You
smile.
your eyes. Yeah. Your eyes, your cheekbones, your this, your that. And it's like, wow. Like, and it kind of is revealing, more revealing really of your beauty. Because you can't hide behind this hair anymore.
Yeah.
You have to show yourself, and that confidence within also helps with that beauty. So, I mean, that was really my process, and I felt I was a little nervous, of course, but once I really made the decision, and remember I said I was just tired. I was really, really drained.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out what I looked like, or thinking about what I looked like every time I stepped out the door. Even if somebody knocked on my door and I'm in the house, then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what does my head look like? Do I have something on my head? You know, before I answer this door, like, I didn't want to live life like that.
So hard.
Yeah. So it was once I got it done and then got the micropigmentation done, it was liberating. It became very much so liberating because now I was like, I can breathe. I can take a deep breath. I can do things I enjoy doing without worrying about hair. I can go jump in the ocean and not worry about my hair, because that's something I love to do. You know, take a hot shower and let the warm water just run on my scalp. Like, those are things I began to enjoy. So it was just about I guess I should say embracing some of the new things that I had never experienced before, and really appreciating those things.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. We talk a lot here about negative self-talk, right? And so I know when you're in this place where you're always worried about what's outside of you and not what's inside of you, there's always there's the negative self-talk, right? It's the, what do people think of me? And what if they think this? And what if they say that? And, you know, all of the things, and it takes you down. It's so heavy, right? Yeah, it's super heavy. So when you're talking with women now, whether in your group or in a coaching session or whatever it might be, how do you help them through getting past the negative self-talk? Because to layer on top of that, not only is it heavy and self-defeating, but it also pushes disease. It pushes inflammation, right? So how do you help women through that process?
So first we need to identify, like, what is it about the hair loss that's really, really bothering them? Like, are they afraid of what people will say? Do they believe they will be ugly? Like, what is that number one thing that is holding them back? So once we identify that, then I work with them to eliminate that, because we have to get over that negative self-talk. Is exactly what you said. So we have to eliminate those negative emotions tied to your hair. And we also have to work on changing your identity. So I take women through certain processes to really get rid of that. Just release it. Let it go. I call it energy release, right?
Yeah.
So just release it so that by the end of our time together, because I do have a 3-month package. So I designed it so we meet on a consistent basis so that you are gradually letting this stuff go and releasing it. As you release it, it becomes lighter. You do feel better about yourself. You do start talking more positively because I'm encouraging that. And with that, it goes back to my own experience. Once we get a woman, or once I get a woman to a certain spot to where she's more comfortable with either, you know, the hair loss or whatever decision she makes, whether that's to wear the wig, cut her hair off, whatever she wants to do, then I help her feel good about that part. So I know we've seen people out here who have had bad wigs on, right? I know we've all seen it. So then I would, if a woman says, okay, hey, I want to just continue to wear a wig. That's what what would make me feel comfortable. Fine. Well, let's get you a custom made wig for you that is going to be comfortable, that you will enjoy, that looks very natural. So, just helping them through the process of what is going to make you feel good to move forward. Because ultimately, I want you to live life. And I've spoken to women who literally feel like they want to commit suicide. So we don't want that.
Oh.
We can't do that. I mean, hair is important, but life is also important.
Life is more important.
Exactly, exactly. But I mean, you would be amazed. So many people are really, really, really tied to their hair.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's natural. I mean, I was tied to mine or attached to mine too. So really kind of shifting that mindset to say, hey, this is what's happening to you. If your hair is not growing back, let's make the decisions for you to feel comfortable. Now, if you have a condition to where your hair can grow back, let's just say you're experiencing hormonal imbalances or nutritional issues or stress. Those are things that you can work on and can be solved, and your hair will regrow. So let's figure out what's the underlying cause. Let's go ahead and move forward with, solving or resolving that. If it can't be resolved, let's make the decision of what you're going to do to move forward to feel comfortable. Like I talked about the wigs, hair wraps, shave your hair off, whatever that may be. Then let's continue to now get out in public and let's embrace it. Like, let's get used to this new look. Let's get used to people looking at us, giving us the attention. Now, the one thing I have to flip for women, just like I had to flip for myself. Before, I thought I was ugly. I thought I looked like a man, right? But cutting your hair off and people looking at you after you have that confidence or shift that mindset, now it's like, oh, they're looking at me because they can't believe I'm pretty and I don't have hair. You know, like that's immediately my thought now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And now I smile back. If I see someone stare, I'll just, hey, how you doing? And it's, they'll smile back at me. But another thing I've noticed too is there are people out there, especially women, who are still covering up their hair loss, and then they look at me like, wow, she cut her hair off and she still looks beautiful. Now that gets their wheels turning like, okay, well, maybe I could do something similar, or maybe I could do, because they're hiding. That's just really what it is. They're curious about, like, how did she do that, you know? So I'd like to also be a inspiration to women in public. I don't have to work with them, but I just like to be a representation that, you can do it if you want to. It's just about shifting that mindset, building up that confidence, and moving forward in life.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I want to just briefly, because I know it's not necessarily your world to talk about, the nutrition aspect or, the hormonal imbalances or anything, but that's the stuff that I do fairly regularly, because women struggle more than men for whatever reason. I guess because we've got just all of these hormones that are always super wonky, but with thyroid issues, whether it's autoimmune thyroid or hypothyroid, right, which is kind of more typical. But there's so many things, if we're not absorbing nutrients, if we don't, so many of us have this crazy GI dysfunction, so our GI is not absorbing nutrients and minerals and B vitamins and these, biotin and all of these amazing things that are so helpful for hair growth. And fingernails, right? It's all kind of the same thing. So do you talk a little bit about kind of the nutrient deficiencies or what women can do maybe to help if you think that it is more hormonal or thyroid or deficiencies or something?
So I don't necessarily get too deep into that just because it's not my specialty, but I do know nutritionists that I will refer women to. Like if we need to, like, let's just say that is the problem and they just want to talk to someone who may be a coach dealing with nutrition, they can. Or they can go actually see a nutritionist themselves, and that's probably the route that most women would take because it would be probably covered under their insurance. But I actually would send them to those specialists. We can talk about it. I give an overview. I have done some research, but I don't have that firsthand knowledge and education behind that part. So I'd rather have the specialist help them with that, and I can guide them in the right direction. No, it makes perfect sense, and
maybe not really a fair question, but curious, because there are some basic things that we might be able to take, but even if we take supplements, if we're not absorbing nutrients, it's still kind of a waste of money, right? So you got to get to the root cause. You got to understand whether it's through you or somebody else. What is it that's making this happen?
Exactly. And one thing I have learned is that what may work for one person may not work for the other. And for a woman who's losing her hair, it's devastating when they have hope that a product is going to work or regrow their hair, and then they see it doesn't work, and then it puts them back into this downward spiral.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like I'm very, very particular about saying, oh yeah, use this and it will work. No, I'm not going to do that. You can try it, but I'm going to refer you to the specialist, and I make it very clear that even if you are prescribed something, a medication to help you or anything like that, you have to give it time. 3 to 6 months before you know whether or not it's going to work. But when it comes to hair, people want an instant solution. They want to see hair grow within a month, and it doesn't work like that. So it's really, I do a good job, I believe, at really setting those real clear expectations, because a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. Having normal expectations is helpful, right? We are a society of the magic bullet, right? It's the I want it and I want it now, and that can be, I think, like you said, really devastating. And so, I think I want to talk a little bit about social media, because I'm looking at how damaging, especially for young people, social media has the potential of being. But as I was thinking about it, you are on social media and you're pushing your, I was going to say agenda. Well, it is an agenda, but it's a positive agenda, right? We've taken agenda kind of negatively, but it's a really beautiful, positive agenda, getting out there and getting your message out there. You started your podcast. We'll talk about that. But what I guess first, how do you feel about social media when it comes to how damaging it can be? And then let's flip it on its head.
Okay, so with social media, the way I use it is really mostly for business. So I don't get a lot of comments or negative comments towards me. Now, have I gotten them in the past? Yeah, but who cares? Because normally those people are anonymous. They don't have their picture up. They're like, just little trolls out there that just want to have something negative to say. When I have had those situations, I'm just like, really it depends on how I feel. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even have time to deal with this, ignore or block and ignore, Sometimes I'm like, I have time today. So bless your heart. Let me tell you about yourself, and I will say something back. In that nice, nasty way, that southern charm, right? Bless your heart. That's how you started, right?
I love that. I'm going to take that.
But, I know other women with hair loss, they, and they're advocates out here too. Some of them have had negative comments, and it's one of those things where you can't stop people from saying what they're going to say. People will be ignorant. You can't stop that. You have to let it roll off. You have to ignore it. You have to really just protect your own energy. If something comes to you like that, just block it. Keep it moving. Don't let it get you down. I know it can be challenging, especially when you're emotionally going through something yourself, but you can't let that hinder you. But like I said, I really don't have, it's only been a few instances where I've had negative comments.
Yeah. Well, and so really what I meant was with that. So yes, but was when it comes to how women are viewed. That's really more of what I mean is how we're viewed, right? So whether it's hair or whether it's the little skinny body, right? Or these are the things that are played up to be important. And can be damaging, especially to young kids who now will go in and edit their pictures to make themselves look different than they do, right? These are the things that I mean that I feel like with social media can be damaging, because if someone is losing their hair and all they see is everybody talking about hair, right? That can perpetuate that negative self-talk. It can perpetuate the fear and the frustration and the things that are viewed to be important, but really are not that important.
Yeah, and I agree that social media can enhance that, but I also believe that that's just society. Society has a expectation, or what they say beauty is, right? That's out there in commercials, in TV shows, like everything we see has a standard of beauty according to what society has put out there. So I don't feel like it's all social media. I think that plays a big part in it. But even if you weren't on social media, you're still going to get it. We all watch TV at some point. You're still going to get it. So I think really it's about having to shift what beauty really looks like redefine what beauty really looks like. And there are a lot of people out here who have already started doing those types of things, like even when it comes to the size of women and weight. We used to see the skinny models, bone skinny, right?
The weights,
now we have plus size models, right? And we see them on the runway. We have all different types of looks on these runways. Now, could it still be improved? Yes, but it has gotten better over the years. So I think that's the same shift that just has to continue to happen. People have to start seeing people like myself or other types of people who look different and see that we are still beautiful, for the mind to shift to say, hey, okay, I'm used to this now. This is okay. This is another just form of beauty, period. And that's just it. But I know it's still going to be challenging. I don't know if there's really an answer for how can someone overcome that, because this is United States and around the world.
And so taking that now and kind of flipping it to what you're doing, out in the world with your podcast. Talk a little bit about your podcast, because it's new, right?
Yes. So I started my podcast in December, and it's the Bougie Body Podcast.
So good.
And basically, it provides education in a entertaining manner to people who are women who are experiencing hair loss. So I will talk about my own experiences, or I would share information that I've learned through research. I bring specialists on to talk about, different things like nutrition, distress, or different forms of alopecia, or organization leaders, such as the director of the Scarring Alopecia Foundation. So I bring different people on that are related to the hair loss industry. Is that an industry? I should say the hair loss, I don't know what you would call it.
The hair loss world.
There you go. Hair loss world, right? So the dermatologists, the trichologists, all of these different people who can provide you with information and solutions, I bring them on so that you can hear firsthand from those people, because those are people you can go to directly to help you get the answers you need. So that's what the Bougie Body Podcast is about. It's about just being real. I also bring on other hair loss advocates. So other women out there who are doing the same thing I'm doing, I bring them on to share their stories and talk about what they're doing to help women with hair loss. And women are doing all types of things out here. These advocates have all types of things happening, from radio shows to beauty pageants to conferences, like all types of things happening.
How fun.
So introducing them to the audience, so that my audience knows that, hey, look, there are Facebook groups out here you can join. There are conventions you can go to. There are all types of things out here to support you. So tap into it. And, this could be your introduction to it. But from here, take it, move forward, and get what you need so that you can move forward in life.
Awesome. I love it. So do this. Walk me through, and I get that everybody is unique, right? And so you're going to work with people for who they are. But can you walk me through what it would look like for one of your 3-month programs with someone who's coming to you who's looking for support?
Okay. Well, normally what happens first is I ask, have you received an actual diagnosis? Because we have to find out what is really, really happening. If they have not, then that's the first step. You have to go to your doctor, your dermatologist, and find out what exactly is happening that's causing the hair loss. Because there's different ways you can treat different forms of hair loss. So that's step number one. Once they find out what the underlying cause is, now it's about, okay, what treatments did they suggest and what do you want to do? Because sometimes a dermatologist may suggest, hey, you can get injections in your scalp. Well, for a person like me, I didn't want to do it. I don't want to do that.
What would that, what's the benefit of injections? What does that do?
So there are steroid injections. I believe they're supposed to eliminate the inflammation, because inflammation would, cause the hair loss. So
interesting. Okay. Wow. That's intense.
And then they have topicals and different things as well. But it depends on what you want to do. Some women don't even want to go that route, just want to stay holistic, you know?
Yep,
So
yep.
making the decision, do you want to try this treatment? If you do, okay, let's move forward. And now let's be realistic. And like I told you before about the expectations. This may take some time. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself, because that's a big thing.
It's a big one.
So I'm kind of talking them through, like, you have to give this thing some time. You have to try out different things and really set those clear expectations. Once they make the decision of how they want to move forward, whether that's treatment, whether it's not treatment, holistic, whatever it may be, let's go ahead and get into that, okay? But while we are doing this treatment, because it's going to take time, what do you want to do to either mask the hair loss, or do you want to cut your hair off? What is your decision? What do you feel like you're going to be comfortable doing? So that's that next step where we decide, do you want to wear that wig? Do you want to wear head wraps? Do you want to cut it off? Like, what do you want to do in this phase of this transition? So I don't have the entire time, like the 3 months, to really stick with them, unless they want to do another 3 months, but I don't really have the time to stick with them until the treatment is effective, because, you know, it may take longer than 3 months.
Yeah.
But at least I'm giving them the tools to say, okay, this is what I need to do. Now, if they decide to wear that wig or cut their hair off, let's just, because I talked about wearing a wig, so let's just say they decide to cut their hair off. Then it's okay, what steps do we need to take to make you feel comfortable with that? Okay? So do we want to go ahead and just shave it off? And do you want to go out in the world just like that and just get used to it just right then and there, just rip the Band-Aid off? Or do you want to go through a phase like I did and kind of transition and see how you feel and get comfortable? So I'm really taking steps because every person is so different. I'm just working with them individually to say, okay, what do you want to do next? And how do I support you with your next steps so that you're okay? Going to talk negatively about you or whatever, let's deal with that. Let's eliminate that and let's release it, because we have to get you to a place to where you don't care what people think. This is who you are. You have to feel good about yourself. And that's what it all comes down to. Feeling good about yourself, building your self-confidence up so that you really can care less about what people have to say. But very, very individualized.
Do you have like techniques that you use, emotional techniques, things that can help kind of obviously stop the negative self-talk, stop the fear and the frustration? I think of grounding, and I think of, because all of this stuff, again, is so stressful, it's so hard on the heart, so how do you help it? I mean, if they just are having a tough time managing the fear and frustration.
Well, okay, so I got my certification with the Rapid Rewire method.
Okay.
So that's a transformational processing. That's the easiest way I can say it, where I run a process, and it's several different ones I can run on people, where I'm asking them questions and they're responding. And as they respond, that energy, that negativity gradually just kind of naturally releases. And they don't even realize it until we're done. So for example, they may start at a level 8. So if I say, how are you feeling from 1 to 10, with 10 being I can't make it through the day because I feel that bad, with 1 feeling like, oh, I'm good, or everything is great. So if they're at an 8, when we start off and I take them through the processes of kind of releasing that negative energy, by the end of it, they are a 1. And they're like, yeah, I totally feel good. Like, I totally feel like, why was I even worried about it?
Amazing.
So it's really letting them talk through it, talk through what it is in their brain that's making them feel this way. And through that, they realize that this really isn't a big deal, or this is something I don't need to worry about. So that is really the process I take them through. And I have several different types of processes that are under that Rapid Rewire program thing.
Okay.
Certification.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Words can be hard sometimes.
Depending on what they need. If it's something like really, really tied to their identity, I take them down a different process, because there's something different from just feeling, that I'm ugly, Yeah. So we have to really see what they need, and then I I help them through the process with whatever.
So your programs, I'm looking at my notes here, and I have Reclaim Your Crown. Is that your program? Is that what you call it, or is it that different?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I love that. I think that's great. And so, so let's talk a little bit about, because these are both personalized, well, so this is just personalized, but you do also do group? Or is that just your Facebook or your?
No. Yeah, I just have a Facebook group.
Okay.
The private sessions or package is just one-on-one private. Basically, I did it that way because everybody's not comfortable talking about what's happening with them. Yeah. Especially with the hair loss. People are just very, very private, and there are people in their family that don't even know that they have hair loss. So it's just easier to do one-on-one, and every situation is different. So I don't do the group programs. Maybe when I can think of a way that will be efficient as a group program, I will. But right now, I'm like, nope, let's just do one-on-one. It's okay.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So with the Facebook group, though, that is like resources, support, things like that?
Yeah, so the Facebook group, and I need to get more active in it, but really I am just providing a lot. Yeah. Yes, I'm providing a lot of information just about hair loss in general in the Facebook group. The way I really support women is through that Scarring Alopecia Foundation. As the leader, I do those monthly support group calls. Okay. So that is the part where I'm really able to dive in deep and really talk to women and support them through their hair loss journey. So that's kind of like my focus. The Facebook group, yes, it's there, but there's so many Facebook groups out there. There are a ton. I just find that just going the route of being the support coach is just more effective. But I still post on my group page. Cool.
So tell me about a couple of your favorite clients.
A couple of my favorite clients. I would say one that stands out just at the top of my head. There was a woman I worked with, and I'm not going to give like too much detail because her privacy. Sure. But she was intimidated and scared to go on a trip. Now, she hadn't had a big trip in a very long time, and she really wanted to go, but she was super insecure about her hair loss and what she would look like and how she would manage on this trip with her hair. So we really had to sit down and work through that. It did not take long. This was just kind of a session, because sometimes in our sessions, a woman will come to me with different things. Something may have happened in the last week that we didn't have to deal with before. So, just new things kind of pop up that I help them with. But in this case, she was like, I paid the money, but I think I want to cancel because, I'm just not confident. So I coached her through, and we kind of walked through those processes I talked about. And by the end of it, she was like, I'll be okay. She really felt like, okay, I could do this. I'm going to go on this trip. I'm going to have fun, and everything's going to be okay. And that's what happened. So it's just getting out of our own way a lot of times. Yes. And that's what I help you do. Just get out of your own way. Let go. Don't think about all of that. All of that negativity. Go. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. And if people see you doing that, they're not paying any attention to you, regardless of what your hair looks like.
Yeah. It's so true. And to miss an experience like a good trip, because I love to travel, right? We just got back from Mexico. Anytime we can go and play and do and experience new cultures and the whole thing, it helps you to grow, and it makes you, I think, a better person, because you have an understanding of other parts of the world, right? Right. And to miss out on amazing experiences because of a fear like that it's just heartbreaking. And so good for you for helping her move past that, because we do in so many ways get in our own way.
Yes.
I think that what I want to hit on a little bit, if you're okay with it, is I think, from your website you say everything happens for a reason. And so there's a lot of faith that comes into something like that, right? God gives us he gives us these situations in order for us to grow. And so so much of it, how we handle it is who we are, and then, coming out of it, and then the growth that comes from that. So talk a little bit about that and your faith and all that you've had to deal with.
Yeah. Well, that came later, I have to tell you that. When I was going through the hair loss journey, that's what I call it, I was just like, why? Why is this happening to me? Especially being so young. And now there are people who are younger. There are kids who, lose their hair. So for me to be in my late 20s, early 30s, I mean, compared to them not having hair when they're 5, 6 years old, I'm sure is that's way worse for them. But it's just challenging. So I was just like, why? Why is this happening to me? Why? Yeah. But once I moved through the whole process and got to the stage to where I was ready to embrace it, it was a sense of relief, like I told you before, but I think it was when I intentionally made the decision to start coaching in this space. Because for a long time, I kept hearing a little voice like, you need to talk about hair loss. And I was like, no, I don't. I'm not going to share my story to the world. I'm not going online to talk about what has happened. No. And this was going on for a while. And I kept pushing it away. I actually started coaching in a whole different space. And it was in real estate investing because that was my skill.
Okay.
So I'm coaching in that space, but it wasn't fulfilling. Yeah, I enjoyed it, but it was not truly fulfilling me. So when I made the shift to say, you know what, I think I'm going to stop doing that, and I am going to solely focus on the hair loss. It happened when I went on a retreat, and I was walking down the beach by myself, and I was just kind of like at a space where I'm like, what am I going to do next? What is going to happen next? Because I had ended the coaching with the real estate stuff, and I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? And it's clear as day, once again, you need to talk about hair loss. You need to start talking about that. And it was very, very clear once again. So at that point, I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to surrender. I'm going to just do it. I don't know what's going to happen from this. Yeah. But I'm just going to take the steps forward to get started. And we'll see what happens from there. And that's exactly what I did. It's been a faith walk. It still is a faith walk. But that is something I've also had to learn in my business in general, because before I was not considering spirituality or anything when doing business. Now I am, because when I was not considering spirituality, I became burned out. I became unhappy. I was, it was just like a lot of things. So now I've made the shift to where I'm doing something I enjoy doing, I'm passionate about doing. I know that I'm fulfilled and I'm helping others. I'm a representation. I'm a role model. Like all of these different things make me feel good. Yeah. And I guess that's why I continue to say, okay, I don't know what's happening next. I know another door is going to open, but I have to just sit still and be patient and let God open up the next door. And that's just kind of it. So I can't really give you an answer of what's going to happen next or this, but I have ideas of things I'm working on, but I'm just kind of going with the flow and seeing what's best for me and what works.
I hear you and resonate so much with what you're saying, because early on, well, not even just early on, but throughout my experience in my business has been just the struggle and the I have to control and I have to do, and it's this, it's the constant weight of not doing, feeling like you're not doing enough, and why isn't it doing what I think it needs to be doing, right? And I at least to a degree, I think I still have a lot of work to do, but to a degree is sitting back and letting God do the work, right? It's like, it's not up to me. Right? I just want you to tell me what to do, and I will do my best to follow what you're telling me to do. I've said this multiple times, but my word of the year is listen. And that really is what I'm just trying to sit back and do, and listen and learn and grow. And although I still get frustrated with things, and I'm still feel sometimes I find myself trying to control. I'm like, you got to stop. You got to take a step back, and you just got to let God do the work. And I'm like, and I'll literally go, take it. Like, just take it from me right now, because I don't want it. I can't do it. I can't do it on my own.
And I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, this is so difficult. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so difficult. I have to just sit and be patient and wait. I mean, why can't I just do this? Why can't I do that? Okay.
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying. Oh my goodness.
It is a struggle, but it is also a weight that's lifted because I'll say it out loud, especially if I'm in my car, right? I'm talking to myself and I'm talking to God, and I'm like, how, when I finally, if I'm going through a whatever situation, right, and I just literally say, okay, what are you doing? Stop and take it, and I'll say it out loud, and it says, I can breathe. You said this earlier, and now I can just breathe and just stop, because it's not up to me. Thank God.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I'm curious about. Wait a minute. Hold on. So I'm looking. Sorry, I've got my notes here. So what I have that we talked about was reclaim your crown. What about limitless mindset coaching? Is that so, or is there a difference?
No, so
okay.
Limitless Mindset Coaching is just the name of the business.
Oh,
so
I should know that.
Yeah. So then the program is just called, Reclaim Your Crown. That's just the coaching program.
Got it.
And then I have Bougie Baldy as my kind of coined name, and that's where you have the apparel and different, the podcast. And I'm actually working on producing a TV show as well, one of those faith walks.
Stop it. Tell me more. Can you tell me more?
Yes, okay, so now this is a crazy story. Well, no, it's not too crazy. It's probably me being defiant. I don't know. But I had a coach, and, I was telling them, like, okay, I think I really want to do a TV show, but I'm not quite sure, because it just kept popping in my spirit.
Yeah.
And I was doing some networking and connected with someone who was in a different coaching program that I was in the past. And she was doing this. She was producing her show. And so I attended a informational, and I was like, okay. And it just kind of seemed like things were aligning. Now, my coach at the time was like, I don't think you should do that. You need to maybe focus on getting more clients and this and that. But I said, okay, and I kind of put it to the side. But in my heart or the inside, I was like, I still feel it though. I still feel like this is something I need to do. So, months later, I'm like, I'm going to do it. Didn't tell my coach, but I was like, I'm going to do it.
Amazing.
Just because this feeling isn't going away.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just something where my voice can be on a broader platform, and I like the fact that I could be global. I think that's one thing that attracted me. I'm like, well, people can really see and hear me globally and hear my message. And I can help more women doing this. Now, what will come from it, I have no clue. But in my mind, in my vision, I'm like, I feel like this is going to be beneficial. So I'm actually going through the steps right now of producing the show. So I just kind of came up with my set design and what the show would look like, the layout of it, and all of those different things. I still have some time to go, but the plan is to get it recorded by the summer.
Oh, amazing.
Get it recorded by the summer. I'll have 6 episodes, and hopefully it can release maybe in the fall, because I have to have a grand opening. They have to do the editing and all of that stuff. Not grand opening, I'm sorry, the premiere.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not used to TV talk, so premiere. But yeah, so that is what I'm looking at. It will be the Bougie Baldy Show, still sticking with the same theme.
Yep.
And it will be more of a panel, though. That's my idea, is just to have more panel, group of people, where we sit down, we talk about their specialties and how it can help women with hair loss. And then we also have these real conversations. Like, if you are another advocate, and you experienced hair loss, like, let's dive deep into what did you actually go through, and how did it actually make you feel, because your story is going to help someone else.
Yeah.
that's the concept behind the show. You know, it's still ever changing, but that is right now what the concept is.
That is out and how they can find it and all of that stuff.
Well, I can't say when it's going to come out because we have not recorded yet. So I cannot say that until we have some definite dates and things like that.
Yeah.
But it will be on the Zandra Network, Zandra TV Network. And you can find that on, if you have Apple or Fire Stick or Fire TV or anything like that, you can just download the app like any other streaming app.
Okay. How cool is it that not anybody, but I mean, you have to have the connections, but that people can just go and do a TV show and and impact people's lives in a positive manner and not just be somebody who's just wants to be in movies, right? This is a really, really cool thing. Not that movies are bad, movies are great, but you know, it's like you have this amazing trajectory that probably a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, you're like, I can't even.
I never even thought about it. I didn't want to be on TV. I didn't even, I think 5 years ago, I didn't even want to get on YouTube or even do reels or any of those things.
I hear you. It was 5 years ago we started this show, and it was a couple years before that you know, Henry, who owns the station, and all of, you know, friends are like, you need to do your own show. I'm like, hell no. It's like, that is not my thing, and I'm definitely not comfortable doing any of that. And then here we are 5 years later and talking with you. But it is amazing.
Yep, that's how God works. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You get led to the next step.
Yep, it's the truth. So tell people how they can find you, your Facebook group, your support groups, all of the things that you're involved in.
Okay. Well, you can definitely visit my website, and you can connect to everything through my website. So that's limitlessmindsetcoach.com. And if you are interested in the podcast, I am on YouTube under the Bougie Baldy. As well as Spotify, Apple, and one other place, but I'm sure you can just search for
all
the Bougie Baldy podcast. It'll pop up somewhere. And on social media, I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of the places. You can find me either under Miss Kellie Michelle or the Bougie Baldy, but Miss Kellie Michelle is the way you will find me on social media.
Awesome. Well, this has been super fun. I'm grateful for what you're doing. I know we've got a lot of people who are watching who are also grateful for what you are doing, how you're helping people. And just to, whether it's hair or something else that makes us uncomfortable, you know, this is something that is much needed. And, you know, the much needed, you know, let's not concern ourselves so much with the outside world thinks. Right? We're here to do a job or maybe multiple jobs, and we're doing it for God, right? And we're here to help and to serve and to love and to give and all of these things. But, you know, it's here. It's not out there. I think that's what's so important. It's funny because, you know, when I was talking about the struggle that I have felt in the past with the business or with whatever, multiple times. So there was this period of time where I was just grasping, right? I feel like I was grasping, and I heard on multiple occasions, whether it was on the radio or in my head, it was go inside, because I kept going outside of myself, right? And looking for answers outside, and I kept hearing go inside. And so that sticks with me now. I try to keep that in my mind. Just go inside. That's what matters, and listen, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Listening to my intuition has been another journey, big journey, and learning how to do that, because we kind of lose that skill sometimes. So just tapping back into it,
a lot of times,
is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it would be a whole other show. we should talk more about that. Awesome. Well, this has been really great. I'm so grateful for you and for joining me. It was really, really fun. I love what you're doing. And thanks for being here.
And thank you for having me.
Yeah, amazing. All right. So thanks everybody for joining. Go to the website, check it out. Go to Kellie's website, check it out. Mine too, if you want to. You know, she's there to be support, to be a coach. She's doing really beautiful things. If you are curious about Taste Life Nutrition, you can go to my website. You can fill out an assessment on that website that'll come straight to me, and I'll give you a call. We'll chat about it and see how I might be able to help you, or if I know somebody really cool like Kellie who also might be able to support you in whatever it is that you're struggling with. So feel free to reach out. And then we are here every Thursday, almost every Thursday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, streaming live on kuhsdenver.com. Always having a good time. So we'll see you next week, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Hang with me just a second.